This here's Lenore Zan, and you're watching Fandoms.
And welcome to Fandoms, a show from every fan's point of view. Logistically, this is season 4 of Fandoms. It just means that we've gone through about 13-ish episodes in a season, and we ended it and started a new one. It's just a great way for me to feel good about having placeholders. But regardless of that, we have a wonderful show not prepared for you tonight. And with me, as always, will be Will. But before Will comes on, we're going to go ahead and do Pooja's picks.
Everybody, and welcome back to another segment of Pooja's Picks. My name is Pooja, and I'm here to bring you the latest in movie news. Let's take a look at my picks for the week. It's a Glenn Powell summer with the latest Netflix film, Hitman, now available to stream. The film also stars Adria Arjona opposite Powell in this action comedy film that focuses on Gary Johnson, a professional hitman that goes undercover for the police to catch those who are actually trying to hire him. In the process, he meets Maddie, a woman in a violent and tumultuous marriage, and as they become romantically involved, Gary's whole mission is turned upside down. I don't know what it is about Glenn Powell, but he's just got that magnetic charm that is bound to reel us all in for this movie. The Watchers is the directorial debut of Ishana Night Shyamalan and stars the beloved Dakota Fanning alongside Georgina Campbell, Oliver Finnegan, and Olwen Fuere. The film centers on Mina, a 28-year-old artist who finds herself lost within a secluded forest in West Ireland until she finds shelter with some others who are also stranded. However, she soon quickly realizes that they aren't just stranded, they are full-on trapped together with mysterious and dangerous creatures. Most are familiar with the iconic M. Night Shyamalan and his unique style of storytelling. So it'll be quite an interesting experience to watch his daughter Ishana take the reins and explore the art of making movies herself. I think everyone has at least one memory from our teen years where we thought our lives were over thanks to some ridiculously embarrassing moment. We've all wanted to fit in, we've all felt jealousy of others at some point. It's a staple of adolescence after all. So welcome to Inside Out 2, the latest Pixar sequel that continues the story of Riley, who is now trying to navigate through the rough waves of middle school. The film brings back all of our favorite emotions like joy, sadness, anger, disgust, and fear, while introducing new emotions like embarrassment, anxiety, envy, and ennui. When the emotions begin to clash, though, it leads to another whirlwind of emotions and a journey to find a happy balance amongst them all. I'm pretty sure it goes without saying, but considering Pixar's track record, I definitely think we're going to be a puddle of tears after this one. Well, that's all that I have for this week. Thank you so much for joining in to another segment of Pooja's Picks. Back to the show.
And Will, how are you doing, by the way?
I am doing very well, thank you. I broke the cardinal rule of broadcasting, which is you never change anything right before you start doing the show. You don't apply patch updates to your software, you don't update drivers, and you definitely don't finally decide to take that moment to set up your prompter so that way you could be looking at your co-host while you're looking at the camera. But I did exactly that. Amazingly enough, I think we're okay. Like the only thing I really want to do is I really want to press this enter full screen button, but I'm scared that I'm going to break the show if I do.
Yeah, if he touches the full screen button, it's going to show just me. Because, see, if
Gotcha.
you don't know, this week has been a very Will and Tony filled week.
I really want to push the button.
I know, but don't do it. Don't push the button.
No, it worked. I'm just looking at us now. Look at that.
Oh, you maximized. Okay. I thought you were trying to maximize like me again. So background for those of you watching. Wednesday we did the Road to Deadpool and Wolverine, talking about X-Men Last Stand and X-Men Origins Wolverine. Thursday I was on Will's show, Netheads, talking about, is big innovation, dead, which was actually a really good conversation.
Mhm.
And by the way, if you would like to check out that,
I like the
follow
way you're
Netheads.
like surprised. It's like, oh, wow, and it really was a good conversation. How dare you?
There we
sir.
go. Yeah, so definitely, if you want to go back and check that out, that is on the Netheads YouTube channel, or you can also check them out on Smodco. I don't know if it's live on audio form yet, but you can check
No,
it out.
not yet. No,
Okay,
no.
but
I'm
yeah,
so
it was a
busy.
good conversation. In fact, we talked for what, an hour and a half yesterday. So
Collectively, yes. Only 1 hour and 15 minutes makes it to air, I think.
Oh, and see, Miranda's on here. It was actually a good conversation. I appreciate that. You can continue to lie to us all you want. So
Okay, look, man. I think
and
we
here-
need to. I think we need to start working on the language we're using here. Okay, because look, you're amazing. All right, you're amazing. So let's stop tearing ourselves down. Let's start building ourselves up. I joked that you said it was surprisingly a good conversation, but really, just enjoy the moment. Take the accolades as they come.
No,
How
but
often do we get them in life?
So, but you have to understand something. First of all, Z says the chat was lit. Yeah, the chat was completely off the rails when it came to.
They were doing their own
we were
thing,
actually-
man.
Yeah, but here's the thing. So we do this through Restream, so I can see both of us, which is great, because even if I'm looking at Will or looking at myself, which I don't know why I look at myself, I'm just narcissistic that way. But I can see both of us. Will, for Netheads, uses OBS Studio, and he uses a Zoom meeting to do it. And
Yeah,
when what comes out of his feed is what he is streaming to the masses. And
it's called the
so
program
when
view, my
I'm on
friend.
screen, all I see is me.
Yeah, I
don't
can
get to
actually
see
see
Will.
you. I can see you.
And then on top of that, because we had discussions in previous episodes of Fandoms, and I think also on Netheads, where my audio, my video quality was a little bit grainy and a little bit kind of not on par, I decided to start using my Nikon Z30
Mhm.
to actually do the streaming. But
Mhm.
because it's connected to a HDMI cord, there's a little bit of a delay. So I have to do the delay in OBS and run through virtual mic, which means that I oftentimes am seeing myself talking as I'm talking. And so Will would switch to me during the show, and sometimes I'm going like this.
Yeah, I really try to
Because
be.
I'm trying to catch up to my own video. So he gets me the
Look, man,
and
the moment you're looking at you, you're on.
I know, but even if I like I'm sitting there and I know your hand's going to it, so sometimes I'm like, yeah, or whatever, and a lot of times I don't even see his arm move to push the button to switch the perspective. Yeah, and so
That's what my good little Federation
gap.
pen.
There's like I think it was like a 35 millisecond gap between me noticing me on screen and me saying something actually, and so it always makes me feel
That
really slow
explains
because Trent's on the ball.
That explains a lot. That explains a whole lot, because I've always wondered why is he sitting there for this fraction of a second? Now I know.
Because I'm on a delay because I'm so listen. You remember back in the day when home theaters were like you could buy a home theater in a box,
Mhm.
and that was like the big thing. You could have surround sound, but every so often if you messed up a setting, the audio would be off to the video, and like me, I can't stand that. So I am constantly trying to get things down the millisecond. And as soon as I changed my camera from my Logitech camera to the Nikon, you got on a call with me, and I had constantly was changing settings.
Bro, can I tell you
So-
something that will just change your life? Do you want me to share something with you that will completely change your life? I hope I'm not about to put my foot in my mouth.
Man, we'll see.
Camlink 4K by Elgato.
Yeah, but that involves money.
I understand.
Listen,
Maybe some of that Netheads Patreon money might shine some happiness on you, because I am
Yeah.
telling you, this is just raw video going to my computer through the Camlink 4K. I haven't synchronized my audio once. I don't even understand what nonsense you're talking
Well,
about.
what's also nice is the cam link also. So did you, when you put your prompter together, and guys, this is Fandoms. We're gonna talk about nerdy
Sorry,
stuff. We're gonna
because
talk about tech stuff.
we're fans of
But
technology.
yeah, but the technology's in there. Like, so does yours have, because you're using the 4K Elgato, does
Yeah.
it give you the did it have the plate that went with the prompter that matches your camera?
Oh man, that was so in depth. I just said, you know what? I'm just gonna drop that shroud around the back and not worry about it.
Okay.
Because look, man, I'm not gonna say that the instructions were somewhat
Well,
oblique
you've been
on what I
sitting
was
on it for
supposed
a
to
while.
do. Oh yeah, I have. But still, I mean, because look, I just want it to be intuitive. I don't want to RTFM. I don't want to do that. I just want to go. So when it came to step rings and this and that, I'm like, bro, this shroud really seems like it's enough. And it is. This is amazing. And to anyone that's ever thought about, if they saw this type of technology and they said, do I really want to get this? Do I really want to spend the money on this? I am telling you right now, if you do online content and you're ever interacting with a chat or co-host, man, this is the way to go. And
Oh,
it was so,
absolutely.
and not an ad, by the way. And it was so, literally all I had to do was plug it into an available port on the USB hub that's connected to the computer under there. I didn't have to configure anything. I didn't have to
No,
do anything. It just worked.
and you also already had the Elgato Cam Hub thing already installed on your computer because you have the Elgato camera, right?
Oh yeah, that's probably the other reason why it just
And see,
automatically picked up.
that's the thing. Like, if you're wondering, like, I got a prompter, and there's like this promise of, oh, you can do teleprompting, you can get the foot pedal, and you can have the text going up on the screen. I never thought of that, because honestly, I can't tell you when I've ever scripted any of my content, whether it's
Mhm.
on Nerd Initiative or whether it's on my Mr. Marvelite accounts or I don't do that. I literally just take the camera and I just do my thing, or I stand there and I'll sit there. And if I do like a single shot of me talking, it's probably because there are about 12 other shots of that same conversation. None of them match each other and all of them are incoherent. So I don't write things out because that just is not who I am. But the idea of me being able to look, because I hate like being the person that's like looking off of the camera, looking at whoever it is. So absolutely.
Can I just tell you, I did the stupidest thing. We went and got cherries, and I've been laughing all season because, I have a cherry drawer in my fridge. Half of the crisper has just become a cherry drawer. And so
Mhm.
I did a silly video on TikTok about it, but honest to goodness,
Which made me have to go buy cherries, by the
sorry
way.
about that, but I'm telling you right now, not that video, though seemingly very simple, it took like 25 different takes, because first I finally had to get the audio okay, because I've got a phone in a refrigerator and the microphone is right there at the glass level. So then I try and geniusly use my Movo wireless mic as a lav, and
Mhm.
instead it's just rubbing against the fat on my neck the whole time. So eventually I broke out the old Shure microphone that I use. And anyway, the whole point is, it was like 20 takes, and the whole time I'm doing it, my wife is on the couch, and she's just enjoying listening to me suddenly going, you know what? Or I'm blah, blah, blickety, blah. I'm an important internet Z grade celebrity. And then play it back. Gosh darn Fiffenrugen. I use different words, but you get the point. And so it's really great when you do this type of thing, and the people in your lives get to just think you are completely and totally crazy. But also, yeah, when technology just works, this is amazing. Sorry
Oh,
to bring it all
absolutely.
back home.
Now here's so let's go ahead, and we've talked about a little bit of tech, and we could do that for a good long time, because honestly, why not? But let's just kind of throw out some stuff like, so have you seen the first two episodes of The Acolyte?
Yes, I have. I've seen them twice over now.
Okay. Yeah, I finally, like, as of the Netheads last night, I hadn't watched them. I wasn't feeling well last night. I actually ended up having a migraine throughout the night and into the morning.
Mm.
But while I'm laying in bed, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and just watch this and eat hummus. And so um I ended up watching both episodes. And okay, so day one of the Acolyte premiering, I think it was Wednesday night, correct? Like Wednesday,
Hmm.
7 p.m. Eastern, I think. Um, we had that first day 4.8 million views
No
of this
way.
show. Yeah, I
Get
was just
out.
pulling up. Alkali blast into Disney Plus with 4.8 million views on the first day of streaming.
That is amazing.
And I understand that there was some conversation. I don't know, like, I guess there was some issues. Some people were making comments like that this is not what they wanted, or they weren't interested. I was going into it going like, okay, let's see where the problem is. And those two episodes were extremely solid. And okay, the guy who's playing the master Jedi of the girl, or her previous master, he's the guy on Squid Games. Did you know he learned English so that he could do this because he's a huge Star Wars fan?
I had absolutely no idea. My
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. He's such a big fan of Star Wars that he learned English just so that he could be in this role. And that's devotion.
That is pure dedication. And thank you for letting me know where I've seen this person before. Because I was going the whole time I'm watching, like, where? But mind you, I watched, the thing is, we got to stop watching things when we don't feel well, because I personally kind of relive those moments. One of my favorite comedies that was recently out was Superstore, but I realized I couldn't hear the opening sequence without feeling sick to my stomach because I was watching it while I was on the couch, sick to my stomach. So I watched Squid Game when I had like a night of an insomnia and a bad headache, probably a migraine that you speak of. And so I don't exactly have good memories about that show. Besides, I watched it with my mouth almost wide open, like 80% of the time, just like, oh my God. But anyway, yes, I've seen both episodes of The Acolyte. I'm sorry to hear that you didn't get to see them in traditional fashion because you were doling off the migraine. But the problem that always happens when a new Star Wars happens is that, unfortunately, and I'm not saying this as in, if I'm not speaking to you, okay? And by you, I mean anyone that is seeing me say this. Let's just say there is a section of the Star Wars fandom that is, no matter what, going to just be toxic. It's and because we've seen it time and time again.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. At this point, it's like you can dislike something and still love the property, and I don't think people understand that. There's this concept of um people being people being negative just for the sake of they don't like the direction it's going, or they hold on to something. Like I guess, what was it, George Lucas was just recently recognized for for his work in film. And he was interviewed, and I think he made a comment about how Star Wars had changed and all this stuff, and it wasn't what he had depicted. And they took him so wildly out of context, like the media did.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not anything that they were considered, like they were thinking about, or they were trying to like spin it to, and they were just intentionally feeding. I think there are people that are backwards, and they don't make good choices when it comes to how they criticize things.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are also people that try to feed the flame because they know that there are people that will get upset, and it will cause, we're in a day and a time now where, instead of it being spinning fake news for the sake of like the tabloids to just entertain, or to throw dirt on, let's say, a politician or somebody in media. And whenever I point out like this, my hands look so big because of the perspective here. But it just threw me off. I'm like completely disconnected from this conversation now. But what was I saying? Oh yeah. So stop it, Will. So there's this idea that they'll just throw out crap because they know that it'll get a reaction and it'll get more views, and they'll, because we're living in the world of of algorithms now, and analytics,
And
and
engagement.
yeah,
Engagement is the term you're looking for.
yeah,
And
because you would have viewer numbers on television, and then you also had the sponsors who would show their support if they really like something. Like, people were running to support and to advertise on things like Seinfeld and Friends and all those other shows. But now it's this streaming service where you've got all these analytics and all this other stuff, and you have viewer numbers like 4.8 million. That's great, but then you've got these news sites that are doing the exact same thing. They're trying to get numbers, and they don't care how
Mhm.
they get them.
Yeah, but that's not to say people don't legitimately have a claim if they're not into it, if they don't like it. Look, I just want to be expressly clear. If you are one of those people, that's completely fine. I'm just specifically referring to the exact same people you are, which are
Mhm.
the engagement freaks. Let's just put it that way, because
Yeah.
they want the clicks, they want the engagement, so their exposure gets wider, and or they are just jerks. It could be that too. But I have to say, in my seeing it, first of all, I can't make a Star War. Nobody lets me do that. So I'm appreciative of anything I get, because this is a franchise that has been with me and with everybody, probably
Mhm.
within the sound of my voice. It has been with me. I don't want to say since birth, but definitely when I was just in the realm of like 6 or 7 years old is
Yeah.
when Star Wars came out. So to my perception, I've always lived in a world where there is the possibility of another Star Wars. And it's something I've looked forward to. I enjoy, even in the bad parts, everything they've done with The Mandalorian. I absolutely loved The Bad Batch. And a lot of these things are driven by Dave Filoni, who, if nothing else, let's just say he definitely gets it. So what I saw on screen felt like Star Wars, and that's all I needed to do. Just tell me the story now. It felt like Star Wars. Great. Let's go.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And what I find is funny is, well, first of all, let's just say this. The Acolyte, I don't know what people were complaining about, because it's a very solid show. It's very well balanced. No forced pun intended there.
Even
But
has a
like,
it even has a twist that none of us saw coming.
oh yeah, like you're talking about the end of the second episode, or
No,
the
not even that.
the
Not
plot
even
line.
that. Just
Okay, well,
the very
and
fact of who the antagonist and the protagonist are.
oh,
And
absolutely.
I'll just leave it at that.
And it was funny because I heard like
Why did I
what
just
was
do
it,
finger guns?
Straw Hat and Fantastic Frankie were talking about this, and they were talking about how it's like, it's literally like you feel like it's Space Police.
Mhm.
It's a different realm of the Jedi Knight, that you really don't think about, because like when we see it in when we it was dead in the original trilogy. Then you have the prequels, which they're very much more like diplomats and ambassadors.
Mhm.
And you don't get like a arresting type thing until Mace Windu versus Palpatine in Episode 3. And then in the even like in the original trilogy, that it was a dead religion, or it was considered like an old
Mhm.
cult. And then the sequel trilogy, it was like something that we kind of understood was everything, and everyone was involved in it. And it's this way of being that says balanced everything. And I love the idea of space police, and it kind of gives you this idea that, even within the Jedi Order, there can be individuals that don't really uphold the values, because
Mhm.
it was kind of like, I forget his name, the master, the guy who was in Squid Games, like
Yeah, don't
his
even
his
ask me,
character,
bud.
his emotions are questioned a number of times because of his connection to this girl.
Mhm.
And he turns it around, and often's like, you're letting your fear get in control. And it was a nice turn to see that. And it's one of those things where, I kind of, at this point, I'm feeling like we are seeing in these first two episodes something that could be completely flipped on a dime, because we don't know what happened where
Dude,
these two individuals.
we don't even know if in the galactic, I mean, cuz I mean, what is the era that we're in right now? What is it
High
officially
Republic.
called? So we don't know if in High Republic the Jedi aren't viewed has the Empire. We don't even know this. I'm sure there's actually books that have been out there, but for me, it's like it. And there are moments where there is very much almost aggression on the part of a Jedi. Like it's like that Jedi just threatened somebody. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. So yeah, I never even thought about the space cops angle, but I like what we've seen so far. I really do.
Yeah.
I'm pleased.
Yeah, because we've got 4 Jedi that are being targeted. One of them took a vow of silence that basically put themselves in a giant force bubble, which I thought was a really. I like how they keep expanding what the force can be and do, and that was a really cool moment. And the fact that engagement versus the assailant, this person, we're trying to be spoiler free of this.
Right.
But at the same time, like I want to just spoil whatever. Maybe next week we can be more spoilery on whatever we do.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think it's polite to put a 1 week delay in there. So,
Yeah.
okay. It's 1 week. It's been 1 week since you looked at me. No, you give it a break. You give it some time to breathe. So that way you can feel less guilty just speaking openly about it. At least that's the way I view it.
But there were some red flags and things that were said and things that were done that makes me think that the good guys that we're looking at are not good guys. And I'm really wanting to talk more about it. So we got 2 weeks and then we can jump more into stuff and we'll figure it out from there. But what is this? Baby fart. I don't even know what
Are
that
you getting
is.
lost in the chat?
I'm looking at the chat. I'm like,
don't get lost in the chat.
So overall, definitely I'm enjoying the show. It's exciting. I have not gotten into Tales from the Empire, but I did enjoy the Tales from the Tales of the Jedi. So I'm a little bit behind. I'm also a little bit behind on Bad Batch, which I understand some of Bad Batch kind of leads in our promises into something. I don't know.
There's an element in one of the seasons of Bad Batch that is also something that I never thought about. And it is something that is alluded to at the end of the second episode. Well, not alluded to. It's at the end. Well, actually, it's not even. Look, it's in there. Okay, there's something there, and it'll be there, and I can talk about it next week. I can't talk about it now. It's too soon.
Yeah. So let's talk about some other things that seem too soon in a bit. We just last year saw a prequel film to the Hunger Games trilogy.
Oh yeah.
We saw the Song of Songbirds the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, where it was a Coriolanus Snow prequel. We kind of get a look into District 8 and why Snow has such a problem with the individuals in the district. And we were just told this week that not only are we getting another prequel book, which is called, give me just a second here. I think it's called the what was it, Sunrise. Oh, I have it right here. It is called Sunrise on the Reaping, which is supposed to be, I think, the quarter quell that Haymitch,
yes, that's the part
for Katniss and Pete.
Look, man.
Yep.
If I could tell you, all right, I did not care when I found out, and yes, I know a Hunger Game or two. I was not interested in seeing it when I knew it was about Snow. Now you tell me, however, we're going to see Haymitch going through what Haymitch went through, even though if you read the books, you know how he becomes the champion, right? But still, it'll be interesting to see that moment now, not through my mind's eye or not through if it was depicted in the films, seeing it actually writ large on the screen. Because Woody Harrelson brought something to that character that I really enjoyed, and it's none of these, because the prequels, I mean, none of them really have a happy ending, right? But this one made me excited to hear about. I may actually read this book because it's going to be a book and the movie, right?
Yeah, so the book comes out next year, 2025, and supposedly the movie comes out the next year. So they announced the movie, I think, at the exact same time as they announced the book, which I'm glad they're at least giving us a book first, because I think where these movies deviate from the books is where they're weakest. And Hunger Games, though I enjoyed Hunger Games, there were aspects of it that I didn't appreciate because they really didn't go close to the book, and they did better with Catching Fire and Mockingjay parts 1 and 2. But it was definitely one of those things. And then when they did Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and I'm sorry, I was kind of curious about how I was gonna care about a snow prequel,
Mhm.
but the book hooked me, and then that movie was devious in ways, and
Well,
I absolutely loved it.
interestingly enough, I didn't read the book, and I think that that movie we're speaking of right now is actually available on Prime Video. So if you've put it off, but you've got Prime, check it out. I'm actually tempted to do so now that you've said
Oh, yeah.
this. But the Hunger Games is a little bit, I don't want to say emotional for me, not because of the story, but because my eldest daughter, Emily, who's turning 21 this year, as a preteen and a teen, was obsessed with the Hunger Games books and the
Mhm.
movies. I had to take her to, at the time, literally midnight showings, and so I ended up knowing that she was so obsessed about it, and her having the actual books, these bound pieces of paper with words on them, you may have heard. And
Mhm.
so naturally, as all of this madness was unfolding, I'm like, let me see what's going on here. Next thing you know, I'm just devouring them.
Oh, yeah. Well, my wife and I, we purchased them on, Kindle, the Kindle app,
Hmm.
and it was a competition because whoever got ahead knocked the other person's placeholder off of their phone, because it had that sync where you could read on one device and it would show up exactly where you left off in the other one. And
Oh
so we
yeah,
were reading it from the Kindle at the same time, but you had to kind of remember where you were at, because
it's
once one of
flipping
us got ahead of
around.
the other, it knocked the person off. So that was fun. But we read all those. We've also read the Aragon, the Inheritance
Don't get me started,
storyline with
man.
the
Don't
I
get me
know
started.
that was a big disappointment. One day we've got to get, they need to do it a series kind of like they did with Percy Jackson. But um I was okay with the first Hunger Games. Catching Fire got me excited. I've got the collector's edition of the Hunger Games. I've got all of the steel books for all of the movies. It was definitely worth getting. I even have a District 12. Oh, it was District 12. It wasn't District 8. Or was it District 8? District 12. 13 went under. 12 was the district that Katniss came from.
Right.
Um, but I have like the supply bag
Oh, okay.
from when they go after it and they get the little bag that has a number on it. I have one of those. Um, but I absolutely love the films, enjoyed them. Um, Definitely recommend the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. First of all, just for Lucy, the characters are so well done, and you you find yourself forgetting who Snow is, and you realize some of the things that Snow does, and it makes you understand the eccentricities that when you go back to watch the original movies, you'll be like, oh, that's why he did that, or that's why he does this, or that's why
Mm.
he is who he is. And it makes perfect sense. And I love it. And you
I
see how, like, I'm just saying, just
we're
go
we're we're
watch it.
we're
Paramount Plus,
completely
whatever.
amazed also at the timetable we're talking about, like book one year, movie the other. But
Yeah.
the studio, probably not even her publisher, was like, could you please write another book, because we like printing money. So if you could write another book, we'll adapt it to a screenplay and we'll get it out the year after you're done. You just got to give us a pre-screener so we can get a screenplay written, or write the screenplay too while you're doing that. We
Oh,
we
yeah.
like printing money.
Oh, and listen, you think about these movies, I mean, these books, the books are not, they weren't written like 30, 40 years ago. I mean, they're relatively still new in the zeitgeist of young readers and everything else. And when you consider the idea that, you know, Susan Collins is basing a lot of the stuff that happens in these, it's over exaggerations, but it's very much a commentary on what's going on now in this day and time, especially with the concept of like the Hunger Games, it's very much taking a picture of me. Jeez.
I'm taking a picture of the setup, man. It's so cool.
But it's a commentary on what's going on here. It's like, it's very much how, if you watch V for Vendetta,
Mm-hmm.
it's scary how accurate that is to where there are people that want things to be a certain way. And it's nice to see, because a lot of people are going to read it, they're not going to get it, but a lot of people are going to read it and be like, oh, this is exactly, I know exactly where the author stands, because they're touching on topics that are sometimes a little bit too sensitive for people to come right out and say.
Well, they say that art always reflects the time that it comes from.
Mhm.
And especially when you get into song, literature, video, movies, anything that's created, it's going to be reflective of that time because it's part of the zeitgeist.
Do you remember when someone on social media made a comment about Marvel doesn't need to be political? Like, they were making a comment of like, was it like, it doesn't need to be a commentary of trends or whatever. It doesn't need to be so specific. And like, have you not read Marvel comics from like the beginning? It's always touched on things like civil rights and everything else. And like, that's
Harry
exactly
Osborn
what
had
it
a
is.
drug addiction.
Oh, and then look at okay, Lord of the Rings touches on a whole lot of like, world political issues. You've got Star Wars, and you want to talk about like, it not being political, the Galactic Empire, and you've got the Galactic Republic, and you've got this order of individuals, and you have somebody who's changing the narration and is manipulating things from I'm sorry, that's not political. Like, the whole thing is political.
Mm-hmm.
It touches on politics, religion, everything else. And if you're blind, then fine, that's okay. Be blind, but don't think that you know everything about it. And we're gonna stop talking because I'm gonna get preachy. But
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
but
amen, man. Get up on that pulpit. Preach.
So I mentioned this on Netheads yesterday. But no, I didn't mention on Netheads. I apologize. I'm getting my days mixed up. I mentioned it on, no, maybe it was yesterday. No, it wasn't. It was on Wednesday.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Yeah. I was hoping we could buy a clue here. Thanks.
Oh, you know what? We can just turn you off for a minute if I really want to. I will.
I could put
No,
myself,
but seriously,
I could put myself back on.
I gotta fix this. Hold on. So on Wednesday, we were talking about X-Men Origins Wolverine, and we were talking about, Deadpool. And of course, we're getting closer and closer, and we know Deadpool is Deadpool Wolverine is coming out in just what, a month?
Mhm.
A month and some change.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know and you're watching, we do talk about some Fox Marvel movies leading up to Deadpool and Wolverine. Next week, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific, we'll be talking about X-Men First Class and the Wolverine. So you get to get your Silver Samurai, as well as a little hint and preview to Days of Future Past from that film. But we were talking about how Ryan Reynolds was in X-Men Origins Wolverine as Wade Wilson.
Mhm.
And there's, of course, if you've seen Deadpool 2 and you see where Cable is shooting at him and he's using his katanas to kind of like, try to block the blades or block the bullets, and it doesn't work. That was an Easter egg, or at least a nod back to X-Men Origins Wolverine, when the first time you see Wade in action, he's walking through a room where people are shooting at him and he's using his katanas to deflect, bisect, like cut in half, and everything else with his katanas to stop bullets. And then we talked about how Wade ends up being, and spoiler if you haven't seen it, but let's face it, you're not going to watch it anyway at this point. X-Men Origins Wolverine has Deadpool at the end, but they surgically sealed his mouth shut. They've infused him with other abilities, and it was a terrible take on that character. And just this last week or the week before, Ryan Reynolds was in an interview and was talking about that, and basically let it be known that he was blackmailed into that role because he had been pitching with Fox since the X-Men movies came out, this idea of doing Deadpool. and he wanted to do it badly. He identified with that character, which I can't imagine anybody else being Deadpool than Ryan Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
But he was told what they were planning to do in X-Men Origins Wolverine, and he was so concerned about it. He told them, "You're going to make a lot of people angry." And he was trying to encourage Fox not to do it, and they basically let him know, if you don't do it, we'll just find somebody else to be Deadpool. And then we got what we got. And of course, that makes more sense now when you think about the fact that Deadpool was given the green light. The first film was given a green light because the test footage was released. It was leaked, and people didn't know who it was. They were insinuating who it could be. But Deadpool was dead in the water because of X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until the test footage was released that we actually were able to see, what we could get if we got a pretty comic book accurate Deadpool. And I still love watching that test footage. It's so much fun. And they used a lot of it, and they used the majority of it for the opening of the original film. They took some liberties, but it was a great opening. It was a great, introduction to the character. And we now know it was because of Ryan Reynolds, because he knew the Deadpool and X-Men Origins Wolverine was not going to get greenlit.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had to take it in his own hands. And he's pretty much admitted it at this point. But if it weren't for a guy who pitched something that he loved, I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of stuff like that. We talked about Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith, was a big proponent for why we've got a fantastic series of He-Man films, Master of the Universe film or series on Netflix. And it's because of people being passionate about what they care about. And so Ryan Reynolds was blackmailed into the role, and I promise you that's not the worst thing that could have been has happened in Hollywood, but
no, that was Green Lantern.
You think. Yeah. What was it? Sydney Sweeney and Madam Web. She did that film just so that she could be able to do whatever she wanted after it. Like there was no. Oh, you have to watch it still. Have you seen it yet?
No, that's tomorrow. My daughter, my youngest is having a sleepover, so I'm going to probably be in dad isolation. So I've got both. It's gonna be a Morbius and Madam Web Saturday for me. And you can, by the way, you can catch me on The Real Study the day after. Google it. It's a wonderful promotion. I'm sorry.
Madam Web. I saw the tweet on X. On X, I guess. I don't know what they call it at this point. Like promoting the thing. And I was like, that's a wild set of movies. Like
the whole thing that I'm thinking is just anyone that is a co-host on this one is just, they're gonna hate me because this is a creature of my own doing. I created this. I suggested this, which wasn't exactly my best move. But if we could just jump back to Deadpool for a second, the thing that I love most is probably something you would not expect me to say, but I absolutely loved the very opening of the movie. Because we come in on that still of an action sequence that we haven't had yet. And you can just tell that all of the effects people, this was their moment, because that entire scene is probably just a digital animator's dream.
Oh yeah. And of course, you see it like sped up at that point. But even with the what was it? The credits that you see. Like the credits even, break the fourth wall in a sense. And I love the one where it was directed or produced by the guy who killed John Wick's dog.
Yeah.
Like
and an unnecessary CGI character or entirely CGI character.
And let's say this thing too. Not only did Deadpool give us a good comic book mutant movie after a series of poor ones, but we also got a fantastic comic book accurate Colossus.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get in the next film an amazing comic book accurate Juggernaut.
Mm-hmm.
And those films, oh my goodness, like the things that they do, even Cable was amazing in it. Like Josh Brolin, And the amount of, I mean, people don't realize this. Last scene of the first Deadpool, that whole scene took place on a helicarrier.
Mm-hmm.
You've got in Deadpool 2, like at that point, Ryan Reynolds knew that Disney was going to be buying Fox,
Mm-hmm.
and so he felt a little bit more, comfortable with referencing. Like I think it was like in one of the commercials for Deadpool 2. If people didn't remember this, it has like Deadpool playing with toys, and like he's talking to Cable. He's like, "Zip it, Thanos." And like at one point he's wearing the collar that neutralizes his healing ability, and he basically just says, "Give me a bow and arrow. I'm basically Hawkeye."
I'm
And
basically
it's like,
Hawkeye. Yeah.
it's like, and he calls Cable Winter Soldier at one part because of the
Mhm.
arm. Like there are so many things that happen. It makes me so happy, and I love the fact that with Deadpool and Wolverine, one of the things that people are doing is they're projecting what kind of cameos could happen in this film, because I'm just saying it. One person said, "Wouldn't it be cool if like they got in a multiverse, they ended up in like the DC universe at some point?" And it's like, technically it could happen, because if you think about it, James Gunn and Kevin Feige are friends.
Yeah.
And
Or friendly.
if for any, no, they're friends. The way the engagement happened with when he got fired, like they bonded. Like there was a whole thing. Like as soon as he was fired, Kevin's like, "Give me some time. Like let me, I'm on it."
Mhm.
And was so happy for him when he got, the executive or the CEO for DC Studios. And I could see it. This is the only time in our life where we could possibly see Marvel and DC characters possibly cross over, even if it's in a cameo. I mean, the best we got was in the Teen Titans movie. We got a Stan Lee cameo,
Mhm.
but still, it's always a possibility, and it's like it's fun to hear people project and just be able to joke and have fun, and just to know that people were so afraid that it was going to become a rated PG-13 film, but hey, I'm excited.
Yep. I am too. And as a matter of fact, speaking of the PG-13 realm, thanks to you, I had to go out and hunt down Once Upon a Deadpool. And I got about halfway through it, enjoying it thoroughly, when then I realized, I'd really just want to watch Deadpool 2. I'd like to see the full version, please.
Yeah, I will say, like, if they could like cut out and just do the Freddy Savage like commentary between the two, and like you just like binge that was what's fun.
Mhm.
But it was a great idea. It was a great idea for, you can't take your kids to go see these films. Don't take your kids to go see these films.
No.
You're a good parent. If you're a bad parent, don't take your kids to go see these
No.
films.
It's
And
definitely
if you're a
not.
parent of a teenager, don't take them, drop them off, and leave. You are doing danger. Now, it might not be as bad. And let's face it, Deadpool 2 was a lot more tame than, the first Deadpool. But there's always that risk, and there's always that possibility. And parents be parents. But yeah.
Man, you
Okay.
keep inching closer to that pulpit every single time. You're
Oh,
just
we don't
ready
want
to
to.
testify. Come on.
No, but
Bring it.
it's one of those things where, okay, so we've talked Hunger Games, we've talked Deadpool, Wolverine, we've talked what else did we talk about before? I completely forgot what we're Acolyte. I had something else. Oh, I have not yet. So we're not going to talk about I have not yet seen Doctor Who. This
Oh, you haven't?
episode for tonight. Were you watching it before we got on?
I set up a prompter and watched Doctor Who.
Normally I would try to, but I wasn't home. And as soon as I got home, like it was like 30 minutes before the show started, I had to render Pooja's video so that it would fit into Restream, because Restream is really particular about its megabyte bandwidths.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't seen it yet, but I will say last week's episode was crazy. And it wasn't until later that I realized the racism that was involved in it. So,
It wasn't until it was too late, and then I
because you
realized
were just saying these people were so blatantly stupid and so self-centered.
that is
You
that
didn't.
is the biggest problem with that episode, is the fact that you already don't like them because they are incredibly superficial, like all nothing but influencers. And you're like, I'm already blinded by hate, which is exactly what they are. And I'm no better than them. Anyway.
Oh yeah. And like, and it wasn't until, so if you guys don't know, we have a Discord, server for the Nerd Initiative community so that we can kind of talk things back and forth. And then I created a DM with a group of us that just like to talk about Doctor Who, and a lot of the guys were encouraging me because I'm still very new to Who, pun intended, and or alliteration intended, I guess. But I didn't catch on it until you and Johnny were talking about it, or you and Johnny and Dave were talking about it, and like the whole idea that like as soon as she saw the Doctor, Cootie, like she just swiped immediately, and I didn't
And
even
makes
think
a
about that.
face.
I just thought she was
Like,
like, "Ew, I don't know you."
yes, exactly. And then there's so many things after that. There was one moment where I did kind of key in on it. I'm like, wait a second. But I was really clueless up until that point, and I think it was about the halfway mark. So not my most shining moment, but I will say you have something to look forward to, because this week's episode, it goes in directions I never expected, and
Okay,
it is an absolute delight. And when you get to
and
the
this is the
preview
episode that's kind of Bridgerton-y, right?
oh yeah,
Okay.
it is mentioned. It is noted several times. But I will also say, without saying anything else, that when you get to the preview of next week, Russell T Davies once again proving himself a liar. Thank you. Yeah, if you haven't seen it and you'll get there, you'll know what I mean. You'll know.
But let's do this. We didn't have a chance to talk about this since you've recommended this before, because this was back before I think we talked a little bit about Doctor Who on one of the last couple episodes. You commissioned me to watch Blink.
Yes. Yes. Sally
And I'm
Sparrow.
gonna be honest with you, I kind of skipped the episode before it because I wanted to get to it badly. And now I have heard rumors of other stuff that happens with the Weeping Angels, and I want to get to those episodes so badly. But like, that was a great freaking episode. Like, I really, it was funny because I really liked, what was it, Boom? And Boom was like a in one place type thing. But then I also liked, I
Also
liked,
written by
what was
Stephen
it,
Moffat.
what was the episode from not last week's, but the week before, with the fairy circle, like that whole thing where it was literally just Ruby, and the Doctor wasn't there, and it was very much a Ruby story, and how Ruby like figured it out, or how Ruby didn't really figure it out. Ruby just weirded herself out.
Yeah.
And then you have Blink. And I'm watching Blink, and I'm like, you know what? I really like some of these episodes that the Doctor's really not in. And the idea that this character, I forget her name right now, but like
Sally
she's
Sparrow.
the reason. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. And so like how she was the reason why all of this stuff happened, and how the Doctor is completely oblivious. It's not going to be till later on because he has his stuff. But it was very much, it was a very good episode, and it makes me want to have more. And I did not realize, I thought, I'm sorry if this spoils people that haven't seen it before, but I'm pretty sure you guys have all watched it. I thought when you touched the Weeping Angel, you just instantly died.
No, sir.
It was almost so much worse.
Yes, it is. It really is.
So it was so good.
It was an amazing episode. And if you haven't been able to watch much more, that means that you get to look forward to Midnight, which is not a Dr. Light episode, but I think it's one of the few times in Doctor Who that it's kind of a bottle episode. And it is, I put it up there. I rank it in the same with Blink. So really good stuff. I'm envious.
Oh yeah.
I'm envious that well, I wouldn't want to lose my memory, but I'm envious that I couldn't watch it the first time again, like you just got to.
Okay.
Words are hard.
So before I went out to go like shopping and stuff tonight before the show, I pulled up a website and I found that there was a questionnaire. Oh, well, not a questionnaire. It was more of a Doctor Who trivia. So I'm gonna, before we end, and we're gonna wrap up in just a minute here. I thought I would ask you some of the questions. I did pretty well. I did 10. I got 10 out of 14 right, which honestly, I haven't gotten to certain episodes where I would have known certain information. But you being the Whovian that you are.
No. Now hold on. I just watch it, and I just own all the seasons. And but
have all the songs,
but I've also got a microphone in front of my face, which means my IQ has easily dropped by 80 points.
Okay, so I'm going to ask these questions and I'm going to answer them as we're going. I kind of know the answers to them now.
What do I win at the end?
My respect. You already had it though, so
that's all I need. Yeah. That's all I need.
All right, so here's question one. This is a true or false for you. We're going to start off easy. Thank you. Yeah. Let me turn you off again. Bye, Will. Keeps messing me up. Okay, so
you're just like swapping us. That's what it really is. He's like, no, you know what? I feel like I want to be on the left now. No, I want to be on the right now.
So, question number one: true or false? Doctor Who started as a comic book.
False.
That is correct. Number two.
It did become a comic book series as well, though.
The latest Doctor, Cootie, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Starred in which 2023 film? And I have multiple choice for you. Oppenheimer,
Barbie,
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. What?
Barbie.
Okay.
It's
Thank
Barbie.
you for. Yep. Okay.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to stomp on you, but it's Barbie.
Okay.
I know it's Barbie.
You should know this. I'm not even going to give the multiple choice at this point. What is the full name of the Doctor's current companion?
Oh, Ruby Sunday. I don't know her middle name, though, so don't.
That's okay. There have been 14 Doctors so far. What number was David Tennant?
David Tennant was both number 10 and number 14.
Oh, good man.
You're not going to trick me with that 14.
Okay. These are simple. This is not that complicated. What is the name of Doctor Who, the Doctor Who villain that shouts exterminate?
Oh, those are the Daleks. Yep. Did my
What is the name of the
this?
dog-like robot in Doctor Who?
K9.
So you got this.
But K9 is a stretch because K9 predates me. However, because they bring Sarah Jane back, I got introduced to K9.
Exactly. Yeah. So you had a chance to see it. Now I got a chance to see it too.
Okay.
Which monsters tried to steal Ruby in the 2023 Christmas special?
Oh, they were goblins.
Yes.
Nasty little bunch.
This one's too easy. I'm just gonna. I'll just say it for the sake of it. Who was the first woman who ever played Doctor Who?
You know, the thing is, again, my mouth is in front of a microphone, and I always talk about how I appreciated something she said at Comic-Con. I've bored people with the story 20 times over, but unfortunately,
Don't be fortunate.
I just can't remember.
Can we give you multiple choice?
Yeah, give me multiple choice.
All right, Billie Piper.
No.
Taylor Swift.
God, no.
Jodie Whittaker. Olivia Colman.
It's Jodie Whittaker. Thank you.
Okay.
I needed the multiple choice. At
least I stumped you on one of them to start off.
Because all I do is I just think Chibnall. Oh my God, Chibnall. Anyway, sorry.
In Series 5, which artist did the Doctor and his companion Amy Pond meet in Paris?
Quite confusingly, they kept calling him Van Gogh, but Van Gogh.
Yes. What do the letters of TARDIS stand for?
Time and relative dimension in space.
Very good. True or false? Former Doctor Peter Capaldi is related to pop star Lewis Capaldi.
False.
It is true.
I had a 50-50 on that one.
So Peter Capaldi, who played the 11th Doctor, is Lewis's dad's second cousin.
Oh,
makes Lewis and Peter technically second cousins once removed.
That is not family, for gosh sakes.
Peter even featured in the music video for Lewis's song "Someone You Loved."
Oh, okay, very cool.
Here we go. So I at least got one wrong. That's not bad.
Yay.
Question 12. We got two more after this.
Oh, okay.
What is the name of the Doctor Who characters who were nurses but looked like cats?
Ooh, I can't. That you see, that's taking you back to Eccleston's season, so I can't remember. Oh no,
Well, but also takes you
they
into
were in
Tenants as
Tenants.
well.
They
Yeah.
were in Tenants. No, I don't remember. I mean, is there a multiple choice on this one?
Yeah, I will give you multiple choice on this.
Okay.
So, first of all, it's the Feline Fighters, the Sisters of Healers Through Time, the Sisters of Plenitude, or the Perfects.
I'm going with the Sisters of Plenitude because it's easy enough to say in a TV script.
Yep, that is correct.
There you go. That one's messed up.
Question number 13.
And you know what? I'm 10 minutes from now, I couldn't even tell you what the answer was.
Yep. And of course, the fracking cat over here, it was the first appearance of them was in the New Earth episode.
Mm-hmm.
Which they were kind of messed up, except for the one that stayed with the big head.
The
True
face
or
of
false?
Bo, my friend. Please show it some respect.
True or false? The TARDIS has a swimming pool.
Depends on which season, so we'll say true.
That is correct.
Yes.
It has never been seen on camera, but it has been referenced.
And we have seen a splash of its water. You'll get there.
Yeah. Okay.
But I said
14.
what season because there's a certain point where, unfortunately, it has to say goodbye, swimming pool. You'll get there.
Well, we got a jukebox now. We might have a sauna now.
There you go.
But regardless. Number 14. This is a multiple choice, so you got to hear them all out before you answer. Which of the following are not Doctor Who villains? A, the Weeping Angels. B, Vashta Nerada. C, Zygons. D, Grumbles. E, Cybermen. F, Slitheen. Or G, Missy.
Okay, first of all, what was the original question? There's like so many there.
Which of the following are not Doctor Who villains?
I'm going to say the Grumbles.
That is correct.
Good golly. And the only one that threw me too were the Zygons, because I was like, that sounds like it could be a Star Trek thing. I had doubts. I had big.
So
doubts.
out of 14, you got 13 right. So let me just go ahead and let me see if I
which is ironic because I couldn't remember Jodie Whittaker.
Which is hilarious. But you at least got it at the hold on, you said false to this. It's not gonna let me. So yeah, you have 14 out, you had 13 out of 14, which is not bad. Not bad
Sisters
at
of
all.
Plenitude.
Sisters of Plenitude.
I'm okay, I won't remember it tomorrow.
Yeah, so we don't have any Grumbles yet.
Okay, that's true.
It's always possible.
Oh, I'm sure there's going to be plenty of grumbling after people see this week's episode.
Oh, I'm excited now.
Yes, sir.
Well, with that said, Will, thank you so much again for joining me, being my co-host. I appreciate
pleasure.
you. Just a couple things so we can go ahead and get our logistics out of the way. Be sure if you want to check out Will Wilkins at Netheads on the Smodcast network. The show's been going on for longer than you could imagine. And why
does he keep going?
Yeah, and just a reminder, it's been every week, which has been fantastic. Thank you, Magic Mind. But next week you'll see him and Trent. And then typically the Fridays or the Thursdays before Fandoms Fridays would usually be me. And Will has just been kind to do that, and I appreciate him for that.
No, I think it's perfect. It avoids co-host fatigue.
Oh yeah. But be sure to subscribe to Nerd Initiative on YouTube. We would definitely appreciate you doing that.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Netheads as well. You should be able to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications because there's lots of stuff going on. And also to keep the lights on, please remember to check out the Nerd Initiative merch store. A lot of the stuff has been fantastic. We are going to try to get some more designs down the road if I feel motivated. You'll also be able to check out the Nerd Initiative website if you were interested in anything with the Acolyte and you want to know more about the High Republic, but you don't know where to get started. Jonathan Chow did a fantastic article today that is actually a good beginner's guide to the Phase 1 for High Republic, which will take you through the different books that you can read to kind of get you more into the feels of that era, which is fantastic. And then you'll also want to be able to check us out on New Comic Book Day with the different comic book reviews. We've got a number of publishers that we do reviews for, and we get great insight and just comic book goodness. And then also remember, on Thursday nights we have Wrestling Night Live, as well as on Tuesdays, the Turn a Page show that goes over, you know, comic books and all that stuff. And I know they've been doing interviews with different people, and they've also been talking about the recent Kickstarter, I think, with Alan Dunford and stuff like that. But yeah, with that said, we really appreciate you guys. Hope you have a wonderful evening, and we'll